Hello guys and welcome back to Planet 40k and the Necrons channel. Now we've got another unit review for you today. In the last video we were talking about the Canoptic Reanimator, so if you've missed that, go check that one out. It's a pretty good video, and we were talking about how it's now virtually an auto-include for the Necrons index. Now today we're going to be talking about the Transcendent Catan Shard. There's a few really cool things about this, and a few little observations that we're going to get through in today's video. But before we do get into today's video, just wanted to bring your attention to our members area on the YouTube channel. So for as little as 99 pence or 99 cents or whatever your national currency is, you can be a member on the channel. You'll get your loyalty badge, so next to your name in the comments, you'll see the little badges that some people have, and they go up in colour for the however long you are actually a member. There's also perks of using the custom emojis, which is just a little bit of fun. And also if you do join our Discord server, you'll get a unique rank or role within the Discord server, and you'll have access to the VIP areas within our Discord, where we kind of talk, that's where I hang out really, and we talk about list building and things like that. So yeah, check that one out. Just click the join button down below for more information if you want to get involved in that. Right, so let's get into today's video. Let me just get myself set up. It's the Transcendent Catan Shard, and I'm going to go through the contents again, probably a few more times, a few more of these videos. I'll go through these more thoroughly, and then I'll kind of stop talking about the contents because you'll know what we're doing by then. But we're going to be talking about the datasheet, we're going to be talking about unit combinations, index rules, the enhancements, the stratagems, the tactics, the scoring, and the pros and cons for the unit in question today, which is the Transcendent Catan Shard. Deep breath and let's get on with it. So let's begin with the actual datasheet. We're going to start on the flip reverse side of the data card to begin. And the Transcendent Catan Shard is equipped with the Seismic Assault, Crackling Tendrils. In fact, that is not all the same weapon. Let me start that again. With the Seismic Assault and the Crackling Tendrils. Let's get that correct. There's two different weapons there. One is ranged, one is melee. Notice in the keywords in the bottom left, it is not an epic hero. That's going to be very important for the enhancements later on. So yeah, it's got the character keyword. Again, very important. Fly, and it's a Transcendent Catan. So let's move on to the actual main side of the datasheet, which is the front side, and we're going to start us off with the actual characteristics and the stat line. So the movement is 7 inches, previously was 8, he's lost an inch, cool. Toughness has gone up to 11, you'd expect that because it's a monster, so they have gone up in 10th edition. It used to be 7, so it's gone up by quite a hefty amount. 4 toughness has gone up there. 4 plus armor save, the wounds is 12, used to be 9, again, pretty nice. Leadership 6+, and the object control is 4. So pretty decent stats, I think. There's only the movement that got nerfed, but it's only an inch. It's not too bad. Right, I'm going to move into the right hand side of the data card next with the abilities. Deadly Demise, which is D6. I believe it used to be D6, but it was on a 4+. Now it's a 6+, so it has changed slightly. It's also got the Deep Strike naturally now, so before you had to give it one of those custom fractured personalities to get the Deep Strike ability, Dimensional Translocation. Now he just has it naturally. Pretty cool. Onto the unique abilities, Transdimensional Displacement. So this is each time the model is selected to advance, you can remove it from the battlefield and set it up anywhere on the battlefield that is more than 9 inches horizontally away from enemy models. I mean, that's pretty impressive. It could literally just translocate anywhere on the battlefield, all within the same movement phase. It just, basically like a Veil of Darkness, just pops away, comes back, anywhere more than 9 inches away from enemy models. Now it will be classed as advancing, and we're going to see in a moment that the range attack is actually an assault weapon, so we can still fire with that. So yeah, the movement is crazy good for the Transcendent Catan Shard. It can literally get into close proximity wherever he is really. Now again, going back to that ability, if you are advancing, of course you're not able to charge after an advance roll. Okay, the second ability, the Necrodermis ability, so this is kind of regurgitated if you like from the 9th edition. They have changed it. It previously was a wounds cap of 3 wounds per phase. Now it is each time an attack is allocated to this model, you simply half the damage characteristics of the attack. Now I'd presume that rounds up, so if it was say 6 damage, it goes down to 3 damage. I mean, that's pretty good in itself, and this thing's already got 12 wounds now, toughness 11, and it's also got 4+ invulnerable save, which I'm just about to mention now. So it's got the 4+. Now unfortunately it's lost the fact that you can customise the Catan Shard. It's not a shard, is it? Just a Transcendent Catan. You can't customise them anymore. There isn't the 6 options where you can do, you know, a DIY Catan. And also, it's not got reanimation protocols. Now, I don't know if that's an error. It's the only unit in the Necrons index that does not have reanimation protocols. So not only is it going to not interact with our main army rule, but things such as the Canoptic Reanimator, which we spoke about the other day, it's not going to interact with that either. So I don't know if that's an error. Maybe GW will fix that, or maybe it's just not meant to have it. Don't know. It seems weird because the other Catan shards do actually have it. So yeah, that is the abilities. Let's get on to the actual weaponry for this Transcendent Catan. Starting off with the ranged weapon, which is the Seismic Assault. It is an assault weapon with the Sustained Hits 1 ability. Now this actually previously used to be a Catan power. It is now a ranged attack. And I think it's better as well, because it used to only work on large horde units. Now it's kind of working on, well, anything really. 12-inch range, 6 shots with it. Ballistic skill 2+, very nice, so you probably on average hit 5 times. Strength is 8, good. Minus 2 AP, and the damage is D3. So you've got a fair chance of taking out standard, infantry, Space Marine infantry. I always go to them as the go-to because they're just easy to remember. Toughness 4, 2 wounds. You're going to wound them on a 2+, and D3 on average you will remove a model. Sometimes you roll a 1 and it kind of sucks. But you can also go for slightly bigger things, or even elite infantry, maybe even Terminators and things like that, because the strength is 8 and the Terminator toughness I think is now, is it 5? If it's Death Guard it'll be 6. But yeah, you'll be wounding them on a 3+. So a pretty decent assault weapon that has replaced the Catan powers, of course. Now the melee weapon, which is the Crackling Tendrils, it's Sustained Hits 1. In fact, I totally forgot about that. In fact, the Sustained Hits 1 ability for the Seismic Assault weapon, even though you hit an average of 5 times, one of them will be a 6, so you actually get your 6 attacks, 6 hits. But yeah, Crackling Tendrils also has the Sustained Hits 1 ability. This time you get 8 attacks. Used to be 5, you now get 8. Likely going to get at least one of those to be a 6, so one of them will come back as an additional hit. Hitting on a 2+, strength is now 9, it used to be 6. It's gone up quite a lot in that aspect, but at the same time, if you're going up against sort of toughness 11 vehicles, you're wounded on a 5+, aren't you? So it's not enough. Minus 3 AP, used to be minus 4. That's okay, AP has been reset. Damage D6, it is janky, but you've got quite a lot of attacks here. It's not like the old edition with the Doomsday Art where you had 6 attacks, or no, D6 attacks and D6 damage. This one you've got a flat 8 attacks, so therefore the D6 damage isn't that bad. Overall, I quite like the fact that it's got ranged attacks as well as melee attacks that are pretty decent, and it can move around all over the place and do stuff. And yeah, I think this one's a really strong character, a really strong datasheet, and I think it's actually the most, am I right in saying it's the most expensive Catan now? It's gone from being the cheapest one to the most expensive. I might be wrong in saying that, because I don't have the points to hand while I'm recording. But anyway, let's move into the unit combos. So, to begin, we've got the Technomancer. At the end of your movement phase, you can select a friendly Necron's model within 3 inches of the bearer, and they can regain D3 lost wounds. Pretty nice. Pretty cool. Now that isn't going to relate to, got an itchy nose again, why can't this hay fever go away? Start that again. Now of course it doesn't have reanimation protocols, but the Technomancer's ability doesn't relate to reanimation protocols, so it's okay. If you wanted to take a Canoptic Spider, they've also got a bit of synergy with the Gloom Prism, because it will grant your Catan Shard, I keep saying Shard, it's Transcendent Catan, a 4+ feel no pain against psychic attacks. Now there is a way to give it a feel no pain full stop, but we'll get onto that in a minute. Yeah, so against psychic attacks only, 4+ feel no pain. I think that's okay. And I wanted to mention the Silent King today. Although he is quite a pricey model, he's got the Triarch abilities, and you select one of these. And they're all pretty good, to be fair. You can get to re-roll your hit rolls and win rolls of a 1. Or you can, what was the other one? Re-roll your charge roll. That could be potentially good after you've done your, done a movement, and then re-roll your charge roll, or the Bringer of Unity, which allows you to ignore your modifiers and characteristics, So yeah, those abilities are all pretty good, but the Silent King is a little bit pricey. But we'll probably have to start doing his datasheet at some point soon for a review, because I really need to work out why he's so expensive. But there's plenty more synergy. I just wanted to throw some in here for this video today, but mainly the Transcendent Catan. He's going solo and he's just tearing things up. As for the index rules, we've already kind of mentioned it. Reanimation protocol doesn't exist on its datasheet, so therefore, nope, you're not getting any wounds back from that. And command protocols, I also said this in the last video, and it's not being led by a character, of course, so there's no +1 to the hit roll, but there is a way of doing it with another character with the Sovereign Coronal, with that aura enhancement to get units within 6 to be effectively led by that character. So that would give it a +1 to the hit roll, Doesn't need it really because it hits on 2s anyway, but if there's a -1 to hit penalty, it will keep it on a 2+, and it also interacts with stratagems slightly differently too. But the main part of this video today I want to talk about is the enhancements. But let's get on to the enhancements now. A lot of people have not spotted yet that it does not say anywhere on the datasheet that you cannot put enhancement on your Transcendent Catan. In the 9th edition it says you can't put warlord traits and relics and it can't be a warlord. It doesn't say that. Now it does in fact say it can't be a warlord, but it doesn't say it can't have an enhancement. So therefore it's a character, it's not an epic hero, it can have enhancement. And the main one that I want to talk about today is the Sempiternal Weave, which is simply a 4+ feel no pain save. That's on all wounds. Very similar to the Reanimator, whether it's a psychic attack, whether it's any wound that is lost with your Transcendent Catan, 4+ instantly removes that one single damage. I think that's perfectly built for him if he is allowed to take them, which I'm pretty certain that he is. Now other options here, we've got the Sovereign Coronal again. You can actually put it on your Catan shard. I mean, I probably wouldn't. I'd use it on a cheaper model, but you can provide other models a +1 to the hit roll and better use of their stratagems. Also, you've got the option of the Veil of Darkness. Again, this isn't probably the best way of using the Veil of Darkness. You may as well use it on a character that's within a unit, but you can put it on the Catan and zip across the battlefield. Now, of course, he's got his own ability to do that, but that will class as advancing, whereas the Veil of Darkness won't be classed as advancing, so therefore you can still make a charge move after actually doing so. That's kind of what I mentioned earlier in the video. There is still a way of doing this kind of movement and then making a charge move. But yeah, I probably wouldn't put either of those enhancements on the Transcendent Catan. I'd definitely just stick to that 4+ feel no pain save if we're going to do something with it, because that's clearly the best thing to do here. Stratagems, I wanted to talk a couple of stratagems, one from the Necrons Index and one from the core rulebook. The first one is the Protocol of Hungry Void. Now this one is done in your fight phase on a Necrons unit, and effectively you get a +1 to your strength characteristics. So he'll go from strength 9 to strength 10, which gets you to the magic number of wounding toughness 5 on a 2+, which can be helpful. Also, some of those vehicles are getting along those stages of getting to toughness 10, so you'll be wounding them on a 4+. So that can be beneficial for that. Also, if he's being led by a character with that enhancement thing again, you also get a bit of AP on top, so it'll go to -4 AP rather than -3 AP. That could also help you as well, right? Now, as for the actual stratagem from the core rulebook I wanted to mention the Epic Challenge stratagem. One command point, in the fight phase, your character can effectively put all your attacks onto a character within a bodyguard unit, in an attached unit, and you get the precision ability with all your melee attacks. Now if you've got 8 attacks and you were strength 9 and it was -3 AP, d6 damage, all going on to one character, I think that's insanely good. And that's definitely something I would do with the Catan shard. Epic Challenge is definitely the one to be hunting out characters. So yeah, definitely use that one when you can. Right, let's move into some tactics and some sort of battlefield role conversations here. So first of all, I think this is a ticking time bomb. I mean, you just unleash him and let him go, right? He's like a puppy off a lead, except this puppy is a nasty little puppy. 4+ feel no pain save. If you've got the enhancement on, he's got 4+ invulnerable save, he halves damage. He's going to be an absolute bitch to remove from play. I mean, the fact that he can move virtually anywhere that he pleases with that ability, okay, it does count as advancing, but you've got the assault keyword on the range attack, so it's not the end of the world if you do that. But really, you want to get this thing in melee. You want to get it into engagement range because it can tear things up with the 8 attacks and d6 damage. And of course, with that Epic Challenge stratagem as well. As for scoring, I said it in the previous one, I'm not entirely sure what the secondaries are yet, in terms of, I've not got the entire list yet, so I don't know everything. But from sort of the common ones, Assassination, as we've just mentioned with the Epic Challenge, Assassination should be a clear and obvious one. I mean, this thing's also got Fly, don't forget. I mean, it's moving 7 inches with Fly. It's virtually moving across the battlefield anywhere it wants anyway. It should be assassinating characters quite comfortably. Bring It Down could be another one, going up against the big monsters, big vehicles, things like that. I mean, even No Prisoners, things like those kind of secondaries where you're just removing models, because this thing is doing that. It doesn't need to mess around with objectives, doesn't need to mess around with primaries or holding on to mission objectives. That's not its game. It doesn't need to mess around with that. Let your Immortals and your Warriors and all those kind of units deal with that stuff. This thing doesn't need to worry about that. Just go and kill stuff. That's all it needs to do. let it go on an adventure and just let rip. So let's get on to the summary for the Transcendent Catan, starting with the pros. And we've got the dimensional displacement ability, with the ability to move around the battlefield. I think that is quite rare, and we're going to use a lot of things with that. I mean, there's going to be a lot of tricks with that is what I meant. I mean, in fact, let me go back to it. Does it work in engagement range? Each time the model is selected to advance. No, it won't, because you can't advance out of engagement range. But I mean, why would you anyway? If you're in engagement range, just finish the unit off, right? So it's also got the deep strike ability, which we kind of totally forgot about in this video, really. It's got deep strike. Do you need deep strike? I mean, deep strike is turn 2 onwards, whereas this dimensional translocation, no, it's not dimensional translocation, it's dimensional displacement. That will happen, I believe that would happen in turn 1, although you are removing it from the battlefield. Does that work in turn 1? Either way, it's very similar to deep strike anyway, so if you can't, it's just the same as deep strike, isn't it? So if you are planning to use it, then whatever, right? It doesn't matter. Now it's got that 4+ invulnerable save as well as halving damage, so that's going to make it pretty resilient. It can take enhancements because it is not an epic hero and it is a character. Very useful, and it's pretty good in terms of damage output, especially in melee. I think melee is where it's at. As for the cons, it's no longer customizable like it was in 9th. That was part of the fun with a Transcendent Catan, being able to customize what Catan you wanted, whether it's extra powers, the deep strike ability, all that kind of stuff. That's all gone out the window. It is just a flat data sheet now, and what you see is what you get. He's lost the wounds count from the Necrodermis ability, so unfortunately, well, I say it's unfortunate, I mean it is unfortunate, but we've got other buffs now, such as halving the damage, so it's okay. We've got the choice of Catan powers has gone. Kind of, yeah, we didn't allude to that earlier. We spoke about the fractured personality earlier. The Catan powers, they're all gone anyway, aren't they? They've now become range attacks, and we've got the seismic assault as our one. But we used to have the antimatter meteor, and what was the other good one? Why can't I remember it? Antimatter meteor, Sky of Falling Stars, that was the other good one. We've not got those anymore as our options. The movability prevents you from charging. I call it the movability because I couldn't fit it on the screen. The trans-dimensional displacement, that's going to prevent you from making a charge move because you've been considered advancing, so you can't do that. And finally, purchasing the model. I know this isn't an in-game con, but the only way at present to buy a Transcendent Catan shard is to spend, I think it was £100 when I bought it. It might have gone up since the inflation. You have to get it in either the Tesseract Vault or the Obelisk box set, and it's like £100 or something. And the last one I built, which was only a few months ago, I built the Obelisk, because the Obelisk, at the end of 9th edition, I thought it was one of the best units, and I convinced quite a few of you. There's still a few of you that didn't quite like it, but of course you get the Transcendent Catan alongside the Obelisk in that way. Whereas if you build the vault and you glue it up, it's going to be within the vault, so you don't get the Catan. So yeah, purchasing the model can be an absolute bugger. But overall, final thoughts on the Transcendent Catan shard. Okay, it hasn't got reanimation protocols. In fact, that is something that should be in the cons. Let me add that in right now. No reanimation protocols. Should be on the screen for you. So yeah, no reanimation protocols. So yeah, overall as a data sheet, I'm pretty impressed with it. I mean, the points has gone up. I don't think I actually mentioned the points earlier in the video. It used to be 230, is now 280. So it's actually gone up by 50 points, which is quite a lot, especially considering the other Catans have gone down by what, about 100? Yeah, the other named Catan shards have gone down by about 80 or so, but they're of course epic heroes, so they're not going to be giving them enhancements. So there is an actual bonus to taking the Transcendent Catan over those named ones. But yeah, overall I'm pretty happy with the Transcendent Catan. You have to let me know what you guys think in the comments below. I'm not going to be doing the ratings yet, guys. I said this in the previous video as well. But if you want to put your rating out of 5, put it down in the comments down below. Make sure you are subscribed on top of that and liking the video on your exits. But yeah, guys, thank you all for watching. See you in the next one.